Mira pushed the heavy glass door of the bank with both hands, the icy morning wind nipping at her thin cotton shawl. The city outside was roaring with life, buses belching smoke, vendors yelling prices. But inside the bank, silence and polished coldness wrapped around her like a warning. She hesitated before stepping fully inside, clutching her worn canvas bag to her chest. The strap had frayed, and the letters on its front, Hope Children's Shelter, had almost faded. She wasn't here for herself. She rarely ever was. She came because the shelter's roof leaked in 3 places, and last week the kitchen's only stove had sputtered and died. There were 19 children who depended on her, 19 little lives who needed warmth, food, books, and bedtime stories. And though the shelter received occasional donations, they were never enough. Mira had long accepted struggle as her shadow. She walked slowly toward an open ATM, her breath shaky. The balance she expected to see wasn't much, maybe the few thousand rupees left from last month's leftover grocery funds, but she needed to know exactly how bad things were before planning how many meals she'd have to stretch through the next week. Meanwhile, on the other side of the bank lobby, a tall man entered with the confidence of someone born into wealth. Crisp navy suit, gold cufflinks, a watch worth more than Mira's entire shelter budget for a year. His name was Roman Sean, the youngest tech millionaire in the city. Though he disliked the word millionaire, he preferred builder, strategist, problem solver, titles he believed he'd earned through relentless innovation. And in fairness, he had. But success had taken something from him too, humility. Roman walked with his assistant, Leo, discussing a merger worth billions. They were supposed to meet a private banking manager, but Roman's attention shifted when he noticed a small woman at the ATM struggling with the buttons. She looked lost, completely out of place among people who wore suits and carried leather briefcases. Why do people like that even come to this branch? Roman muttered under his breath, not out of cruelty, but an ingrained elitism he didn't fully recognize in himself. She looks like she wandered in by accident. Leo glanced nervously at him. Maybe she needs help. She needs a smaller bank. Roman said with a soft laugh, "This place is for corporate clients." Amira heard none of this. She tapped her PIN carefully, shielding the keypad, praying she hadn't mistyped it. The screen flickered, loading. She waited. Seconds stretched. Her shoulders tensed. Finally, the screen displayed. Balance inquiry processing. She exhaled, bracing herself for the disappointing number. Roman's steps slowed. Something pulled his attention back toward the woman, the way her thin shoulders trembled, the way her fingers hovered anxiously over the buttons. Something about her fragility intrigued him. Or maybe it was the contrast between his world and hers. He drifted a step closer, curiosity tugging at him. At that exact moment, the machine beeped loudly. Mira startled. The screen lit up. Roman's eyes flicked instinctively to the bold numbers displayed. He froze, then blinked, then stared. 126, 840, 000. 120, 6,840,000 rupees. He thought his eyes were playing tricks. He leaned forward slightly, then stopped himself just short of invading her space. Leo's mouth dropped open. "Sir, did you see?" "Quiet," Roman hissed. Mira hadn't processed the amount yet. She leaned in, squinting. For a full 5 seconds, she tried to understand whether an error had occurred. Then she stepped back as though burned. "No, no, no," she whispered. "That can't be mine." The ATM didn't care about her disbelief. The numbers stayed. Roman couldn't stop himself. "Excuse me," he said, stepping fully into view. I couldn't help noticing. She turned sharply, eyes wide, fear immediately flashing through them. Men in suits had never been kind to her. They meant eviction notices, audits, city officials threatening fines for things she couldn't afford to fix. "I'm sorry," Mira said quickly, "I'll finish in a moment. I didn't mean to hold up the line." "There is no line," Roman said. "I just noticed something." She clutched her bag defensively. "I don't need help. That balance." He began gently. "Do you know whose account this is?" "My account," she said, though doubt trembled through her voice. "But that amount, I've never seen that much money, not even in movies." Roman stepped closer. "Would you mind checking the account holder's name on the next screen?" Mira hesitated, but something about his tone, confused rather than condescending, made her comply. She pressed the button. The name displayed was unmistakable. Mira Karim, Hope Children's Shelter Trust. For a moment, she felt the world tilt beneath her feet. The shelter's name was on it, her name. Nothing made sense. She almost whispered, "Who would put that much money there?" Roman's heart pounded. He wasn't sure why. Shock, maybe. Wonder. Guilt. It struck him suddenly how wrong he had been to make assumptions just minutes earlier. And now he was standing before a woman whose account held more money than several of his junior executives would earn in a lifetime. Could it be a mistake? Leo asked. Roman shook his head. No bank error adds 8 figures to an account. Someone deposited it. But why? Mira said, voice trembling. "And why to us?" Roman found himself studying her more closely. Her face was tired but kind, worn by responsibility, softened by compassion. Everything about her suggested struggle, not luxury, not wealth. She was the type who sacrificed her own comfort to feed children who weren't even her own. "You run the shelter named on your bag?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, we barely get by. Donations come, but small ones. People give what they can. Nothing like this." Roman exhaled, mind racing. A sum like that meant intention, purpose. Someone out there wanted her to have this money. Someone powerful or generous or both. "Have you applied for any large grants?" he asked. "I sent applications last year," Mira said weakly. Nobody answered. "We're too small." Roman paced a small circle. This is life, changing, for the children, for your shelter, for you." For the first time, Mira allowed herself to imagine heat in the winter, medicine when the kids got sick, school uniforms that fit, beds that didn't creak dangerously. She bit her lip. "I don't know what to do with this," she whispered. "I don't know how to handle so much." Roman surprised even himself when he said, "Let me help you." She stared at him. "Why would you?" He paused. The truth wasn't flattering. Minutes earlier he had dismissed her, assumed she was poor and irrelevant. Now he was looking at someone entrusted with a fortune and responsibility far greater than his own. "I misjudged you," he said simply, "and I think someone out there believes in what you do. Maybe you deserve someone to believe in you too." Mira wasn't sure whether to trust him. He was a stranger and a very wealthy one, but he seemed earnest now, human, different from the man who walked in with a smirk. Before she could respond, the private banking manager approached, clearly agitated. "Mr. Sean, we've been waiting for you." Roman lifted a hand. "One moment." His eyes stayed on Mira. "Let me help you meet our financial advisor," he said softly. "To set protections so this money is safe, to make sure it's used the way it was meant to be. Shelter funds can be targeted by fraudsters. You shouldn't handle this alone." Mira breathed in slowly. 19 children's faces flickered through her mind. She nodded. The next hours unfolded like a dream she hadn't dared to dream. Lawyers confirmed the deposit was legitimate, a private donation from an anonymous benefactor. The funds were earmarked for renovation, expansion, emergency care, and educational programs. The benefactor wanted no recognition, no credit, just a better life for the children. Roman stayed beside her through the entire process. His presence steadied her. He explained terms she didn't understand, asked questions she didn't know she should ask, negotiated protections she didn't know existed. At one point, Mira whispered, "Why are you still here? You don't owe me anything." He answered quietly, "Maybe I needed a reminder today of what money is actually for." She met his gaze. In his eyes she saw something she hadn't expected: respect, sincerity, and a spark of admiration that warmed her cheeks. By evening, as they stepped out of the bank together, the cold wind felt gentler than before. Mira hugged her shawl close. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You don't have to," Roman replied. "Just keep doing what you've always done, but now, with fewer nightmares." For the first time in months, Mira allowed herself to smile without worry knotting her chest. Roman saw it, and it changed something in him. He said softly, "If you ever need anything, advice, help, even someone to talk to, I'm just a call away." She hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you, Roman." As they parted ways, Roman glanced back once more at the woman who had walked into the bank expecting nothing, and walked out with a miracle and a stranger who suddenly wanted to be part of her world. He didn't know why yet, but he wanted to find out.